Hello, I'm Paul Mitchell, speaker and author. Welcome to Enterprise Radio. This is your regular podcast on how to transform the way you live your life, the way you lead your business, and the way you leave a legacy. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to be speaking with Theresa Mason, who is the head of sales and marketing with Teachers Mutual Bank. Now, like all radio interviewers or broadcasters, I must declare a personal interest here. I have known of Teachers Mutual Bank, or I first knew it as New South Wales Teachers Credit Union, since 1975. In fact, my membership number is 7551032. I've been a member of Teachers Mutual Bank now for 33 years, and I can tell you the service is absolutely outstanding for any organisation, and particularly a financial services organisation. And I think you'll understand why when you hear this interview with Theresa. So please join me as you listen to Theresa discuss how New South Wales Teachers Credit Union became Teachers Mutual Bank. And because of that process, in terms of managing major change, CEO magazine named her the Financial Services Executive of the Year in 2012 as one of the key drivers of that change. Sit back and enjoy Theresa. Thank you for sharing your time with us, Theresa.
Thank you, Paul. It's a pleasure.
And so first of all, tell our listeners, what is your current role and what's that involve?
Okay, my current role is I'm head of sales and marketing with Teachers Mutual Bank. And what that involves, as I suppose it's in the title, sales and marketing, but it's a fairly broad area that I cover, both in the strategic development, but also the business as usual functional development in the marketing activity of the bank, but the strategy in terms of who we're targeting, right, and how we actually work with the membership to improve their financial well-being. So it's looking at them in the life stage view, if you like.
Fantastic.
And, looking at the right solutions and sort of, I suppose, a needs-based approach. And aside from that, all of the digital distribution and face-to-face distribution, contact centre, and we also have a mobile team, a couple of mobile teams that are out there. So it's distribution, sales and marketing.
So I love that too. I guess it's great that from sales and marketing you're also involved with strategy, and particularly, I guess, as you say, taking your clients from a whole, of life cycle.
That's right.
In fact, you've done that particularly well, and you're not the sort of person to brag about it, but one of the reasons we wanted to have some time with you was because of your fantastic award that you won last year, Financial Services Executive of the Year, CEO magazine. That is really something. Congratulations. Tell us, our listeners, a bit about what that award represents and what that was.
The CEO magazine sought out our company because what they do is they approach companies that they think are achieving good things and approached us to consider nominating for this award. And we went through a rebrand. We've been Teachers Credit Union for 46 years, and the environment was right for us to consider changing from a credit union to a bank, in that there was a lot of political support for, if you like, mutual financial institutions to apply for full banking license. And we have always been an approved deposit-taking institution, which means we're licensed, but basically licensed to be able to use the term bank in our name, which we believe better describes what we do, because credit unions, when they were first founded, it was well understood by the community at the time what a credit union did and what it represented for the community, because it was more difficult to get access to finance when they were developed many years ago. But in these modern times, when the financial system in Australia is very well developed, less regulated in terms of the lending capacity of institutions as to what it was back then. You've got now, like I said, quite a well-developed banking system and participants in the banking system, and we wanted to be able to represent ourselves, if you like, to the younger generation as a full services financial institution. So we did a complete, not just rebrand, but a transformation of Teachers Credit Union into Teachers Mutual Bank. It was quite a story behind that. So we submitted that story to the CEO magazine and the role that I played. And they were very happy with what we submitted to them, and saw that, I suppose turning around an organisation that's 46 years old is quite an achievement, and because it's a membership-based organisation, it's not something that the directors can just go forward with. No. They have to actually get the permission of the membership to go with it.
Making a change that big, there's a lot of stakeholders involved. You've obviously got compliance and government, you've got banking regulations, you've got the members themselves, the teachers and the staff and so forth. So we'll talk about particularly the leadership involved there. But I've got to say to my listeners up front, I am a proud member. I must declare my hand here. I'm a proud member of TMB, Teachers Mutual Bank. I have been since 1975. My number is 7551032, and these guys really know how to service their members. And I think it's interesting right from the start, you never called them customers like any sort of credit union. You called them members, which is just fantastic. But tell us a little bit about some of the leadership that was required there, maybe with some of those stakeholders. What was the leadership that you did to actually get that across the line? Because I would think initially not everybody would have said, yes, let's be a bank.
That's right. I mean, unfortunately for a lot of Australians, they think of bank as a 4-letter word. And but we think, we're very proud of the Australian banking system. So we believe that we had a very positive proposition to propose to our membership. So there was, I suppose, a fairly intensive stakeholder analysis that we had to undertake to identify what would be people's concerns with a change, especially the membership that have been with the bank for nearly 46 years, and to also look at the other community stakeholders that we've worked with and represented over the many years to get their thoughts and understanding on what it was we were proposing. So stakeholder analysis and understanding what would resonate with each of those in the proposition that we put forward.
So let's just hold it there. I guess that's because there's always some great lessons. I guess a lot of change, we rush into it. Here, you've not just thought about who the stakeholders are, you've done an analysis, and I love the word resonate. What's going to resonate with them? What's going to vibrate with them? So you took the time to really understand what would float their boat or make their DNA dance, as we say.
That's right.
What are some other things that you did in terms of working with stakeholders?
Well, we held some focus groups because we were changing, if you like, the look and feel of the brand, and we wanted to propose, I suppose, a very fresh and different look, and really get to the nexus of what it was about our brand that members would value,
right,
and how we could actually portray that. So we worked with an external agency, and
what was it, by the way, Theresa? What was it that they said was the nexus of the brand?
The nexus of the brand for them is that it's a brand that is very personal in how it provides its products and services, very focused on the target, which is teachers and their families. So it's, if you like, almost like a club membership. I'm a member, I can get these products and services, right. I can get this relationship that I can't get with another financial institution. It's being able to have that personal access, if you like, for support, with their financial services, because it doesn't come easy to everybody managing their finances, especially when you're going through life-changing circumstances. So the friendliness and the approachableness of our organisation to help them navigate their financial landscape is really what mattered to them, and that we wouldn't change that.
And tell me, what do you do? Because having been here and seen your people, it's almost like they're taking the same drug. They are all friendly. They are all so approachable. Is that does that happen through your recruiting? Does it happen through your training? Does it happen because people are attracted to TMB because of that? Tell me a bit about how you keep that brand up with your people.
Well, I suppose a lot of it comes down to our culture, and the culture is led from the board of directors. Okay. The board of directors have ex-teachers and ex-principals, as well as skilled appointed directors as well from different industries. And it's the ethos that they actually operate under, which permeates from the top down right through the business. So this, if you like, focus and on the teachers that we're serving, it's led from the top, and it's embedded, if you like, through every level in regard to how we recruit people to the organisation, the way that we present our employer proposition, the way that our employment policies are formed, the way that we comply and work within the regulation, and the fact that we're, I suppose, a fairly agile organisation because we're small.
Yes.
And people have a voice, and we're very collaborative and consultative in how we develop our solutions here. So people really feel that they're part of the organisation and that they can contribute, and they get recognition for that contribution. We've got programs like innovation programs and leadership team programs, talent programs. And so people feel excited, and if you look at what our three core values are, and that's passion, sustainability and advocacy, you can see that they're values that people can really identify with, and all sort of come together.
So there's some great lessons there, isn't there, for listeners or anyone wanting to change a culture. One, it starts at the top. Here you've had directors who, unlike some directors, have never actually been at the coalface. Many of these people have been teachers, so it starts there. Then they get it. They really get it themselves. They lead from the top. They embed that culture right throughout. You give people a voice. You emphasise the collaborative nature and then recognise it as such, always looking for innovation and new ideas, and I guess promoting talent. So a lot of real strong things about the culture in the place. Let's put the focus back on you a little bit here and just ask about your journey as a leader. So I guess we know a bit about TMB, Teachers Mutual Bank. What does leadership mean to you personally? Because you've led a lot of this change in many ways, but as a leader, what does leadership mean to you?
Well, leadership to me, when I think back on not only this change that we've been through, but other leadership situations I've been in, it is a little bit about bravery.
Yes, courage, yeah.
Being brave enough to have the courage of your convictions and to advocate for the needs of other people in the business and for your members or your customers as well, and to be thinking about what it is that these people need to improve their situation or to improve the organisation's situation, and finding your voice and speaking up about that, and then contributing and working through and
leading out loud, as we say.
That's right.
I'm just putting a plug in here, folks, for one of our programs. But isn't that great that you're finding your own voice, what's important to you, and what's important to people, and once again being a strong advocate and knowing what what your values are as much as the organisation's. Tell me a bit about your values. What do you stand for as a leader?
Well,
what's your brand? What's your style?
Well, my style is I'm very situational and adaptable. So I tend to change my style depending on the situation, because I don't believe that you can have a one-size-fits-all. To me, it's a bit of a kaleidoscope.
Right.
And but also at the heart of it, I probably would say I'm consultative and collaborative. And what I find is that I try to surround myself and work with people that have really strong skill sets and maybe skills that or attributes that I don't have or are not my strengths.
Yes.
So that I can work with them collectively to achieve our goals. And I'm also somebody that is always interested in learning new approaches and interested in how other people do things, but not only just in banking, but in other businesses as well. And, sort of transferring those learnings back into our business. And
an interesting proposition. I read something the other day, I cannot remember where, but they said one of the most important things to look for in this day and age is someone with an absolute appetite for curiosity.
Yes, insatiable.
Insatiable appetite for curiosity. It sounds like you've got that and you surround yourself with. But that's interesting. You know it's about what we call situational sensing. You sense the situation and then, rather than having one style, adapt to that. But primarily it's a consultative style. But then I guess, like most great leaders, you surround yourself with people who have got different skill sets than you, so that you can be complementary and that collaborative style can work really, really well. What about your career to date? Is there any sort of highlights in terms of, and particularly we find our listeners are really interested in how do you make the transition from being a technician, if you like, almost a salesperson or a marketer, to be a leader, a manager of a sales and marketing function? Tell us a bit about your journey there.
Well, really, I suppose it comes down to being an advocate of change, and when you're working within a team at the technical level, if you like, you can see opportunity for things to be done differently or to be done better, and you're all busy doing your business as usual day-to-day work, but somebody needs to sort of step out there and help move things forward. And so when you're working within a team and you're working for common good, I was always sort of looking for an opportunity where I could help to do things better, and making that transition is getting the support of the people that you're working with to see that, yes, you're somebody that could really help take this forward, and also not only just be concerned with the area that you're working in, but the bigger picture as well. Somebody that could sort of see the bigger picture and then help people back in your own area understand how us cogs fit into the big machine. Yeah. So that was how it was really. It's such
a theme coming through. I love the words to help to do things better, and I think that's what great leaders are doing. Yes, they have their technical expertise, but they're constantly looking at how can we help people do it better? How can we make it better? Which is obviously why we've made the change from credit union to bank. Have there been any? In that journey of making things better and collaborating, have there been any people that have actually left their mark on you as a leader? And what were some of the key leadership lessons that they left behind for you?
Well, I've been really fortunate that I've had a couple of good CEOs that I've worked under, and one of them was a quiet achiever, right. But what they did was that they would put you in front of people or bring you together with other people or provide information to you in a quiet manner so that you would broaden your learning and your experience. They would put you in different situations to give you deeper and broader experiences. And they sort of, through those actions, I probably learnt to focus on what mattered and not so much sweat the small stuff, because when they did actually bring things to your attention, it was things that really mattered or could make a difference or were maybe disruptive to what, the business you were in and that we needed to think about. So I learnt that from that particular CEO. And that CEO really invested a lot in my education and knew that there were some things I wouldn't learn on the job or internally, and that we needed to go outside and get that expert help. So that was great. Then another CEO, the current CEO that I work with, Steve James, what he really demonstrates and shows to me is that the different people in your organisation, their different levels of experience, and all collaboratively collaboratively have something that they can bring to the table. And he's good at recognising the strength and bringing different groups of people together to work on particular projects and letting those groups go off again. So,
right.
Not just sticking within a rigid team, that working in more of a matrix. He's quite comfortable with that.
And learn from that. So 2 things I hear coming through that are really great lessons. The first one is that this thing about someone pushing you outside the boundaries, which they did. We have a saying in the Human Enterprise, there's no growth in the comfort zone. And there's no comfort in the growth zone. and so you've had a leader that believed in you and trusted you and pushed you to the edge there, put you outside of your comfort zone from time to time. So you had to learn. You had to learn to focus. You had to learn to be adaptable. And I guess current CEO, what I get from Steve is that a real strength approach, and not just strength of the individual, hey, you're strong here, but when you put a team together with different strengths, the difference that can make, and particularly because of your collaborative nature here, I think that's been probably one of the reasons why the business has gone so well.
That's right. He also operates under what I call fuzzy logic principles, and that is he allows you to go through that sensing process, if you like, before you commit to any new initiative or opportunity that you see. It's a bit of a paradox because at the same time he really guards the norm and the traditional about the place. So not letting you lose sight of the heritage.
Yes,
but actually embracing the new. It is a bit of a paradox, but it's a great works.
Yeah, we found that sometimes what happens is, CEO or senior leader, come to me when it's all worked out, come to me with your idea, and therefore people won't come with that fuzzy logic. Mm-hmm. It is great to have the, if you like, the open door to be able to just bounce the idea around. You've got this idea, it's not quite worked through. It is, the logic's there, but it's still a bit fuzzy. I think that makes for a great incubation of innovation. So a real important lesson for leaders to not have your people think they must come with the I's dotted and the T's crossed. Very important. So that's interesting. So 2 of your main influences on you as a leader have actually been CEOs, but for many senior leaders like yourself, there's often been other people that have been, or other situations that have influenced your leadership mantra, your leadership brand. Tell us a bit about those.
Okay, well, one leader that I admired from a young person, probably because they were around when I was first entering the workforce, was Paul Keating. And Paul Keating to me really when I reflect on what he was like as a leader and the things that he did, he really looked at the big picture and he had a global perspective. So from an organisation's point of view, it's really important to look at how you fit within the overall environment that you're operating in. And also those global influences, no matter how small the business, they're all still quite important. And it's probably through that era that I really,
Were you working with Paul at all? Or?
No, I was just somebody that I happened to admire, and maybe because when I came into banking, a lot of it was around the floating of the dollar and the deregulation of banking. So maybe that's where the connection.
And of course, Treasurer of the Year at one time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I suppose I found him quite an entertaining and humorous sort of leader.
No matter what side of the political fence you're on, he has one hell of a wit.
But he always had the courage of his conviction, and he was strong in how he stood up for what he believed was right for the country. And I think I see a little bit of a similarity because sometimes as a leader you can be looking so far out that sometimes you can lose sight of what's happening on the ground.
Yeah.
So I've sort of kept that in mind because it is great to be visionary and to be looking to the horizon and looking at the big picture items, but when you lose sight of what's happening on the ground or if you don't have somebody working with you that can keep your feet grounded a bit as well, then that's where you can actually sort of flounder a bit because you become too disconnected.
Yeah. We mentioned to our leaders that it's not, sometimes the term leader versus manager is used, which I don't think helps. I think it's all leadership, but some of it's transformational, some of it's new horizon, like going from a credit union to a bank, and you still need to do the dishes. You still need to tick the boxes. You still need to do the transactional stuff as well too. So that's another lesson too, that no matter how senior you get, you've got to look after your own backyard as well. What about on the personal side? Has there been any relatives or any people that have influenced you in some way as a leader?
Well, your own parents always influence you. They're probably the biggest influence on your life. And my mother was very practical, taught me how to be quite organised in my thinking and have a plan, that type of thing. Whereas Dad was quite adventurous, and he taught me, I suppose, a bit about the bravery side of things, to get out there and have a go and try things and have that balance.
Are you a mixture of your mum and dad?
I believe so, very much so. And he is a wonderful father in terms of encouraging you to always look he's an optimist, to look on the bright side, whereas Mum kept your feet grounded. So.
Well, they're both right. I mean, there's a guy called Martin Seligman who has written a lot on optimism. He shares two things. One, here's the good news or bad news. Pessimists are often right more than optimists. So we have to admit that the pessimists have it there. But guess what? Optimists are often more successful. Then you're also part of the executive team and have your own team. So when it comes to working with teams, both as a team member of the executive and being the leader of your own team, what are some of the, key lessons or key premises that you work by? Let's first of all start with you as a team member. You said you report through to Steve. What does it mean for you to be a great member of that team, of the executive team?
Well, I think one of the things that is probably most important on the executive team is that we each recognise what each one brings to the table, and that you do have these experts around you in their own field to work with that can help you develop your thinking. The majority of our business proposals go right around the executive before they get through to the board of directors, and that is because you need to bring all those different facets of the business operation together. And we do have people on the team like myself that are optimists, and we've got people on the team that are more
that are right more often.
Yeah, well, they probably play devil's advocate a bit, yes. Which is a real strength of our team. Is that we've got people that are very visionary and innovative, and other people that are looking to see or to test that vision and to give you reality checks, if you like. So it's a very balanced team to work within, and it's a team that some of the members there have been together for quite a long time, whereas we've got some newer members on as well, and if you like, the camaraderie and the way that we work together has been quite successful.
So three things coming through there I think are just so important as a team member. One, to be in awe, not just, hey, they've got strengths, but be in awe of someone else's model of the world. And if you're in awe of someone else's model of the world, then you really start to listen to their point of view. And it sounds like you've got that. The other thing is, it sounds like there's strong trust there for you to do it. And the final one is that wonderful balance between new and old.
That's right.
Having a solid base there, but being open to new members coming in as well.
Yeah, that's right. And it's terrific to have, not a high turnover in an organisation, but enough turnover so that you do get new thinking into the business as well. But as we grow, and we're always evolving as a financial institution, and different areas like our technology investments are growing all the time, so you're getting a lot of new thinking and capability into the business to help you to be able to participate. Just like we're heavily reliant on technology to deliver banking services, And we've got a new CIO that's come into the business, and he's brought some great innovative thinking and great appetite for change as well within that team. So it's excellent.
Yes, and to the whole thing about constantly seeking out new ideas too, which I guess aligns up with your brand too. You know, the fact that that's who you are, always looking at how we can do it better. Talk a bit about your own team. Because of your collaborative style, and this is something that a lot of leaders struggle with. They want to be collaborative. They want to actually have a very collegial model with their own direct reports, which is great up to a point. But then when they have to give them pops critical feedback or constructive criticism, it's a bit difficult. And we have a saying, they become too nice, which stands for nothing inside cares enough. They find it difficult to actually give feedback. How do you do that? How do you balance this wonderful collaborative style that you have and TMB has with the reality that sometimes people are not performing and you have to give them feedback? Tell us a bit about how you do that.
What I do is I always maintain an open and honest and transparent, if you like, relationship with my team members. I do share stories with them about my own successes and failures. Yep. I am honest and open with them about situations that I've been in, and I hope that I engender a culture for the good of the organisation. And I always talk about Teachers Mutual Bank and what we're doing for Teachers Mutual Bank and how we're doing things for Teachers Mutual Bank, so that when I have to talk about something that's not going well, the focus is how we're participating either as individuals or as a team member towards the needs of Teachers Mutual Bank. So I feel very comfortable being able to have open and honest conversations with them.
Thank you, Theresa. In other words, it is not about you. It's how that behaviour is either helping or, in this case, detracting from our bigger sense of purpose, Teachers Mutual Bank, taking away from what we do for members or whatever. So very easy to give feedback, because before we've built this community, we know that we're all committed to our various, I guess, mainly members but stakeholders, so that when you have to give feedback, it's seen in that regard. The other thing I hear too is that you're transparent anyway. You're transparent, honest. You'll talk about your own, what we call in Why Should Anyone Be Led By You, your own allowable weaknesses, which means that people will fess up to you much easier. But when it comes to talking to other people about where they're not performing well, you've already modelled the way, because you've been open about and transparent about your own areas of development.
We have a culture of accepting failure. If something doesn't work or didn't go well, then it is accepted that it was something that we tried to do, and we learn from it. And as a learning organisation, this is very natural for us. Also, we're very proud, if you like, and put a lot of effort into developing our leadership within the organisation. So when we're looking at a situation or a decision that's been made or an approach to an initiative that I don't agree with or don't believe that it's gone well, it's easy to talk about it in the context of the development of that person and how their team is developing with them as a leader, and taking the decisions back, if you like, to what are we learning from this situation. And generally, people are quite committed to Teachers Mutual Bank when they work with us. And so a culture of commitment and willingness to perform well, it's evident in all parts of the business. We also do have a formal approach to performance assessment. We've all got key performance indicators that we know and understand and review on a regular basis, so that we're all comfortable talking about what we're achieving and why we're not achieving something and how we can do it. So, if you like, because performance is considered to be or performance monitoring is considered to be essential to the health of the organisation as a whole, it's a natural conversation to have.
I love it. Once again, it comes down to the three things. You don't just talk about the performance. It seems to me that's the content. You always put it in a context. The context of the larger thing we're doing here at Teachers Mutual Bank, the context of the development of that person and where they are on their own leadership journey or technical journey, and the context of how can we all learn from this. So I guess, therefore, the feedback is probably a lot easier to give and a lot easier to receive as such.
That's right.
What do you do to develop, and we've touched on this a little bit, leadership at every level? Because to us, leadership is not just a position, it's this willingness to look at what needs to be done and do it. And you seem to have a lot of leaders in this place. You do seem to have people that will, step up and do what's required. How have you been able to inculcate that culture of leadership?
Well, a lot of it comes down to communication and sharing the insights of the business, but also of the members as well. So when you're providing information and people have a good understanding, they're able to think about and understand what's going on and contribute. And we encourage open communication. Having a very two-way communication culture is very supportive to leadership, because people are able to get their voice out there on the table in lots of different forums.
Yes.
The other thing that we do is we do have like a talent program, but also a leadership program as well. And we have, if you like, support for female leadership or women in leadership. And that is because quite often a lot of women are not as confident speaking out at a table as some of their, male counterparts. So there are some programs out there that we do send
specifically for
our female leaders off to, and that works well for us. We also invest a lot in training and development, and I think there's over 22% of our staff at any one time that are doing formal tertiary study. Amazing, and this is encouraged, because the smarter we are collectively, the smarter we are as a business. So we also have a mentoring program, and I'm really proud that I've been chosen as a mentor this year. And it's really terrific, because I get to sort of learn from the person I'm mentoring, as well as being able to share some of my experiences, and just for them to have somebody to bounce their ideas off, or to, talk through some of the challenges that they're having on the job in a confidential environment. It really works well for both of us. So it's a great program.
A lot of things there. So the way you really embed leadership at every level is making sure, as you mentioned before, that people have a voice, that there's a lot of two-way communication. You've got programs particularly for some of the female leaders, because often they don't have as much voice at times. And this whole emphasis that on everyone learning, because the smarter you are individually, the smarter you are collectively, plus mentor programs. So you've got a lot going to actually really get people to continually look at stepping up. With doing all of that, how do you maintain a healthy work-life balance? Because it sounds like you're pretty busy, you're called on a lot because of the your seniority in the business. There's a lot to do, and there's always more to do than there is time. So how do you keep yourself in balance, in check, a work-life balance?
Well, I have a very supportive family and workplace, so I'm very fortunate in that regard. Supportive family in terms of understanding of what your position and your role involves. So being relaxed about, sometimes you have to contribute quite a lot of time and be away. So that's always good to have that support. But also my workplace, reasonably flexible, professional development, even to my family for special reasons. The workplace is very, very supportive of that. Also, for my own personal health, and this was, like I said, that first CEO, John Prescott, he sent me off to an executive development program when I was first appointed a manager back in the 90s. And one of the things they taught you there was executive health, and that, you had to keep things in balance. So, to keep yourself physically well, and meant that you would also have a domino effect from that, and you would be mentally well as well. And you need that mental strength to be able to cope with, the long days and the pressure sometimes that you're under in your role. So, I try to take my holidays and eat healthy and, do some exercise every week.
But what are your passions outside of work?
Well, I would love to do more volunteer work, but at the moment, my commute, I live up on the Central Coast, so I spend a fair amount of time commuting. So that during the week I don't get a lot of opportunity for that. But other than that, well, my passion is learning. I love to read. I love to network and go out and meet people in different situations and learn from other people. Very outdoorsy. My husband and myself, we like to do a lot of swimming and bushwalking and go on. What do they call them? Road trips. We love road trips.
So lovely change from all the mental exercise you have to do in this role, I guess.
That's right, being outdoors in the fresh air.
Well, that's excellent. And is there any time you get what I call the dark night of the soul? Is there any times where you go home and you think, oh my God, this is just getting all a bit too much? Or, I think all execs have them from time to time. How do you bounce back? How do you actually you make sure that you are resilient enough for yourself and your team and the members?
Well, it's helpful when you've got a very supportive partner and it's somebody that, you can talk through, and they're under similar pressures as yourself. So it's helpful to have somebody to talk to. I think that's important. So I believe that, having people that you can confide in and let your steam off, if you like, it is important. The other thing is not to be too hard on yourself. Right. When things don't go well, spend a bit of time reflecting on it and have a good perspective, because sometimes when you react to a situation and think it's not going so well, when you have a bit of perspective around it, you can see it for what it really is. But with that resilience, I do think it is important that you try to be as healthy as you can, because that helps you keep it, if you like, a positive attitude. And, when you're like that, your mood's better, so you're able to bounce a bit better.
That, is it? Yeah, it makes such a difference, not just to you, but to your team and members. And you talked about, I love that, not to be too harsh on yourself, and to put it in a bigger perspective. I'm wondering, therefore, when we talk about the resilience and bouncing back, what are some of your vulnerabilities? Are you aware of them as a leader, where probably, I'm not saying you're not working on them, but everyone has their vulnerabilities, and the great leaders seem to be more aware of them and compensate in some way. If there are some allowable weaknesses or vulnerabilities you have as a leader, are you prepared to share some of those at all?
Well, like I said, I think I suffer from the Keating
too much vision
effect. Sometimes I can be looking too far out, and that's why I like to work with people that keep me informed of what's happening on the ground as well.
Right.
And I work with a couple of what I call great connectors. They're people that connect well within the organisation and can just, if you like, keep you alerted to emerging trends or thoughts running through the business, temperature, if you like. Because in my role, a lot of what my department actually works on and brings into the organisation has an impact not only on the members that have their financial arrangements with us, but also the people delivering and working with those members. And so if things that we're working on or implementing are not going well, I need to know about that rather than be, focused on the next thing on the horizon and not being cognizant of what's happening on the ground.
This is a really fantastic leadership lesson, because one of the things we find what great leaders do is they're always doing pulse check. Now, what I'm hearing you say, you do that pulse check, but you know that you could be so far out there, you may not be getting the real pulse check. So you tap into the connectors, as you call them in the business, which might be in other departments or other functions at different levels, and you ask them. You have this network of people that you can ask, how's it really going? What's really happening? So that gives you a much better pulse check on the total business, and I guess on some sales and marketing strategies. So, wow, how often would you do those pulse checks on as needed basis, or do you have some informal way of having cups of coffee every so often, or how do you go about that?
Well, some of them I've cultivated so well that they'll come to me. They're my drop-ins. Okay.
So now we've got a connectors and a subset called drop-in. Drop-in connectors.
Yeah, but and these are even some people that are outside of our immediate organisation as well, but work within our education community. So it's just meeting them and having a cup of coffee, and also, just an email or a telephone conversation. And even with our peers within the mutual industry, going along to seminars and conferences and
making those connections.
And I'm a member of LinkedIn, and I've cultivated my profile on there so that I can and pick the groups that I actually network in, so that I can be aware of what's happening out there. So happening on the ground within our own organisation, but also what's happening out there within our industry.
So you're always looking at the bigger picture. Again, what I get here is that you can't. Maybe you can manage from behind a desk. You certainly can't lead.
That's right.
And one of the things I'm hearing is that you're getting out there. You're doing a pulse check, not only with your people, pulse check with the industry, pulse check with education, pulse check with the banking industry. So you're constantly feeding that back into the business and seeing what needs to be done from there. Let's go back to the vision piece, because you talked about that being a vulnerability, because you can be so far out there and you need to be grounded from time to time, and through your connectors and your drop-ins, they keep you grounded. If there was one piece of advice about achieving a vision of greatness, because you've really had an incredible vision of greatness here when you think about it, to go from a credit union of 46 years where members were very, very happy, but to move that with the times, into a bank, that was a vision of greatness, and certainly the business got rewarded, and your winner of Financial Service and Executive of the Year was a wonderful recognition for that. What's some advice to make visions become reality, to turn strategy into results? Any advice for our listeners in that area?
Well, you've got to really communicate your vision and make sure that people understand it, that you have the right vision, if you like, and that it's a vision that people can actually share and feel part of, and they understand and appreciate the purpose of what it is you're looking to achieve, or what it is you actually want your organisation to be. That vision alignment is really critical to getting people on.
What do you mean by that, vision alignment?
What I mean by a vision alignment is within the business or the community that you're serving as a business, is that people agree and are aligned with how you see things, with what you think is important, that the way that you articulate that, the importance of what you believe in or your vision, that it resonates,
right,
that is something that is valuable to them. With Teachers Mutual Bank, our vision is that we want to be the first choice bank for teachers and their families for all their financial needs. And the reason that we want to do that is because we believe that they deserve their own financial institution that is going to look after them and be there specifically for them through every life stage. So, teachers have their own challenges when they're a student at university, their own financial challenges. Then they've got to go out into the community and teach. Now, some might have to go off to remote locations, and some might actually have to fund their university stay when they're, coming in from the country. So there are lots of financial needs then. Then they go into a situation where, like other people, they're looking to establish themselves in a particular area. They need transport, but they might not have permanent work. And with teachers, it's not always a surety that when you finish university that you're going to get a permanent appointment or you're going to get a convenient appointment. Yes. So being of unstable income sometimes presents its challenges when they're trying to establish their career in teaching. And that's where we step in. We know what it's like to transition from university into eventually a full-time permanent role. But it's not a given like it was back in, say, the 80s. It's much more difficult for them now.
What I pick up continually, and I guess our listeners will get this too from the thread of this conversation, is virtually every question gets back to your members. I mean, just the way you're constantly thinking about members, what their needs are, how those needs change through the life cycle, that it's not that easy sometimes, that just because you come out of university as a qualified teacher, you may not necessarily get full-time work, and when you do get that, it may be in a remote community with special needs. So it's constantly, I guess, thinking about your customer and their needs. I think that's probably what makes Teachers Mutual Bank such a brilliant organisation. So that's vision. If there's any other pearls of wisdom that you have as a leader, what would they be? If you had 2 or 3 key lessons you could teach young leaders coming through.
I think I would say you've got to be adaptable. You have to use different styles for different situations. When you are first working on a new initiative or working with a new team member that's new to your organisation, it's important that you work very closely with them. And you might need to adopt, say, a more directive style because they're new. They're not, a mind reader, knowing what's in your head, what's required. So working closely with them helps establish them into the culture of your organisation, understands how their role fits the organisation and how they then can start to contribute to the development of the area that they're assigned to look after. So, being adaptable, being open to two-way communication and understanding that you're not going to have all of the answers. There are a lot of people around you with a lot to contribute, and there are specialists, if you like, out there to go and seek specialist advice and insight, or people that you can bounce ideas off that don't necessarily have the constraints of thinking of your own department or business. You haven't got that group think going on. So, getting different perspectives, and that's where networking for most people doesn't come really easily, but it's really vital for you to be able to tease out your own thinking and get new perspectives on things, and just looking at how other businesses solve their problems. Brave, you've got to be brave.
And I love your courage coming through the phone.
Because quite often, when you have a proposition that you'd like to put to the business, and maybe it's destabilising to people that have had something in place for some time, it can be hard putting it out there and building trust that, what you're advocating is for the good of the organisation, even though it might feel destabilising to people that have probably spent years putting in a system or a solution that has been good enough up till now. Maintaining a sense of humanity, humour and perspective. Humour especially, because you've got to be able to not take yourself too seriously, because that helps others relax around you as well. And it helps with your resilience if you induct humour into your work and make it a bit fun. People spend half their life at work. They want to enjoy it.
And the rest sometimes. I love the saying, take your work seriously, but yourself lightly. So there's a lot of things there. The importance of just, and it has been themes coming through, being adaptable, making sure that you network, and you network not just for the sake of those relationships, but for the sake of the learning and the new perspectives. Right. And a big theme of everything you've talked about today has been innovation and newness and looking for new things. And that takes, as you said, bravery. It's very easy to do the same old, but it does take a lot of bravery. And I love the sense of perspective and the sense of humour as such. So one of the things we talk about in our work is what really is engagement. And I think you embody that. We talk about true engagement is the intersection of two things. How do you maximise someone's contribution? I love the way you've talked about that. Get them linked to the community, get them linked to the members. And also, at the same time, how do you maximise their satisfaction? Think about them, their growth, their development, where they are in their own leadership journey. So it seems to be that you've really nailed that on the head very well. So in starting to sum up, any legacy that you'd like to be known for? Because one of the things we talk about the human enterprise is to live well, is to lead well, and to leave a legacy. And I'm wondering, as arrogant in some ways as that might sound, what would you like to be known for above and beyond the fact that you have had this role? What's the legacy that you'd love to leave?
If I heard on the grapevine that people had said that when they worked with me, they achieved great things for the organisation and that they learned heaps
right. Yeah.
and actually enjoyed their work, that's the legacy I'd like to leave.
Isn't that fantastic? So they did great things. They learned heaps. What was the other one? There was 3 there.
And they enjoyed their work.
And they enjoyed that on the way. And they enjoyed the journey on the way. Well, I have certainly enjoyed this journey with you, and so thank you for the great work you do. And a group of people, teachers and their families, are so important to our community. Yes, it's obviously families that carve out who people are, but teachers are such an influence on our youth. And if we can't look after our teachers, I think it's a sad old world. And you guys just do that so well, looking after their financial needs while they go on and teach our kids and make them great citizens of the world. So thank you so much for what you do. Congratulations on your winner of Financial Services Executive of the Year. And I wish you all the best in the years ahead. So thank you, Theresa.
Thanks very much, Paul.
Thanks again for listening to Theresa and her remarkable story. There are some great lessons here for successfully executing major transformational change, including stakeholder engagement, emotional connection with people, collaboration, a real focus on customer needs, I guess in this case member needs, and really genuine concern about how the brand makes people feel, not just what you think your brand stands for. I think that's a major differentiator. I particularly love the section on giving feedback and how people don't take it personally, because it's all about how we can better serve members. Exquisite. We actually recently did a one-day workshop called Embracing the Challenge of Change with TMB to assist them in their commitment to remaining one of the premier financial service organisations in the world. So if you're thinking about or about to undergo some major transformational change and part of your success will be the engagement of your people, then we'd love to hear from you. Leave us a comment on our blog or go to thehumanenterprise.com.au. Or alternatively, to make it easier, just give us a buzz on 02, that's Australia 02 990 55535. That's 02 990 55535. And we'd be delighted to help. So thanks again for listening to Enterprise Radio and demonstrating your commitment to truly building the human enterprise. I'm Paul Mitchell. I hope we get to speak soon.